So here we are. Best day ever. It was fun because Tracy texted me last night. And she's like, what's your talk title? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm talking tomorrow. What calendar am I not looking at? But I love our time together and the opportunity, because I feel like we all connect before we even get here. There is that collective consciousness that we all connect before that. And so certain things just bubble up. And so I said triggers, making sure that we're not getting triggered by things that are happening. And the way to do that is to stay in that divine balance, to make sure that we're taking time to meditate, that we have self-acceptance, self-awareness, and that we continue to grow forward. And I love this teaching so much. It's so simple, yet it's not easy, because we get the opportunity to be self-aware of what we think, say, and do all the time. And we get an opportunity to really accept just the uniqueness of who we are and remember that that is spirit, love, uniquely individualized in each one of us. So yay, each one of us, right? Woo! So I was thinking about triggers, and I was reminded of a story that I had heard years ago, and so I looked it up, and it's like, oh yes, the monkeys. So they did this experiment with monkeys. They had 5 monkeys in a cage, and they put a ladder right in the middle of the cage with a banana on the top. Well, every time the monkeys started to climb up the ladder, the caretakers would spray them with cold water so they'd jump off. And then a monkey would get brave and start to climb up the ladder, and they'd spray him again. And this went on for a while, and pretty soon, anytime a monkey would jump to the middle ladder, the other monkeys would beat them up. Because it's like, we're all going to get sprayed with cold water if you continue to go for that banana. So some time went by. Monkeys would get beat up. This doesn't sound nice, but it's how we end up having our behaviors a certain way and maybe certain triggers. It's like they're crawling up, we're going to get sprayed with water, we're going to stop them. Well, pretty soon the scientists decided, let's change out one of the monkeys. So they changed out one of the monkeys. The first thing that monkey did was climb up the ladder to get the banana. All the other monkeys ran and started beating him up, and it's like, oh. And then he tries again. All the monkeys jump in and beat him up. So he learned, I'm not going to crawl up that ladder to get that banana because I'll get beat up. Well, then they took another monkey out and put a new one in. So they have 2 of the 5, 2 that are brand new. The second one that came in started climbing up the ladder to get the banana. The other monkeys beat him up. So it was that learned behavior based on the pain threshold. Pretty soon they changed out monkey number 3, monkey number 4, and monkey number 5. So here's a cage full of monkeys that are not climbing up the ladder to get the banana because, if they could say, why are you not climbing up? Because we just don't do that. And there might be things in our lives that we have conditioned ourselves because we just don't do that. And in order for us to be open at the top, how can we step into another planes of existence and another amazing revelation of life if we keep doing what we've always done because that's how it's always been done? And I always think the brave ones are the ones that have come to the center because we've always called it the thinking person's center, where we get an opportunity to decide for ourselves, do I believe this or don't I believe this? We're open at the top. What else can we know? Thoughts are things. We create our own reality. Do I believe that? Let me test it. Trust me, I've tested it enough times to know that my thoughts, my words, my actions create something, because anything that goes out comes back. So within, so without. So making sure that we're being mindful, that we're being self-aware, and we're being aware of the things that trigger us. Anybody ever push your button? I used to love, yes, I may have pushed your button, but I didn't install that button. It's like, okay, yeah, you didn't. I can't even get mad about that. It's like, yeah, they didn't. It's based on our own thought process as far as what works, what doesn't work, or how I am perceiving that. Because if we're telling a story about the past or something in the past happened, then I might have stepped into that reaction mode and I'm not responding as well as I could. So the book before the one that they're doing with Brené Brown on Tuesdays in Reverend Kathy's class, The Untethered Soul, Michael Singer, loved that book. And one of the things he talks about is kind of just being in that divine flow and not allowing things to trigger us. Just being in that space of observance. And then also observing what inside of me, what am I feeling? How is this, I'm feeling a little right here, but how can I just let that go? If somebody says something, not taking it personal because it's really all about them, it's not about me. Or if a situation happens, how can I stay in that Zen space, in that love space? And sometimes we have stuff going on, right? We may have been through a lot of stuff in our past, and some of that trails along with us on how we react and respond to things. So I had a situation happen, and I was proud of myself on how I handled it, because sometimes when you have something happen, you almost have to step into that meditated state where it's like, I can't react, I can't cry, I can't scream, I can't run and rescue a person. All I can do is wrap people in a bubble of love and know that everybody is on their own path. Sometimes easier said than done, right? Especially if it's family or someone really close, we want to rescue them, we want to help them. So years and years ago, when I was still living in Nebraska, I'm from the Panhandle, which is the northwest corner, which is where most of my family is, and I had moved down to the southeast corner. Owned a restaurant, told a few stories about that. And so here I am home with my 4 babies. They were born in 3 3/4 years, so they were like 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah. So I'm home with them, and because I come from small town, everyone kind of knows everyone. So I get a call from the sheriff there. Now, the history, we've had a lot of history together. My dad had a drinking problem. And so I get a call from the sheriff, and it's like, okay, there's a couple calls you don't want to get. You don't want to get one from the sheriff, and you don't really want to get a call from the doctor, unless they're saying, you're perfect, all is well. So he called me, and he said, your dad is in the cornfield with a shotgun. He feels like his life is over. I mean, I'm 350 miles away. What do I do in that moment? What do you do? Because it's easy to be triggered and go into reaction mode and want to cry or jump in the car and drive 350 miles, but it's like, that is not going to be the solution. And thank God I had been introduced to this teaching, this philosophy. All I could do is go into meditation, into prayer treatment, knowing that there's only one, that we are connected, seeing him put that down, embrace life, and love whatever decision he makes. That is his world, not my world, yet we are connected. So it's like, okay, let me uplift to a level of love. So wrapping him in white light, wrapping him in love. The sheriff calls back and forth, got your brothers there, got this there. And then after I had been in meditation for about 20 minutes, because it's like, okay, I can cry, but that's not going to help anything. So what is going to help is meditation, wrapping in that bubble of love. And then the sheriff called and said, your dad has decided that he's going to go to a detox center. He knows there's one down by you. I'm like, excellent, perfect. It gave an opportunity for my dad and I to do a lot of healing. And I feel like in that oneness, just going to that space of, we get to that sweet surrender where I can't do anything except surrender to spirit and say, highest and best is unfolding. Wrapping my dad in love, whatever he chooses is his choice. That is not my responsibility. My responsibility is to see the divinity within each one of us and to lift up to the love of the next level. And I always think of it, wrapping them in a white light, a bubble of love, and letting that bubble just go out there, and the Spirit's got this. I'm so thankful for this teaching. And so coming through that and having the time to be able to heal with my father, I kept thinking, well, what were my thoughts previously and what had been some of my conversations? And I knew that there was healing that needed to happen. And so we had some great healing as he went through detox. And he did really well for a few years. And, it's just one of those things. Everybody is on their own journey. I love Cahill Gibran. He talks about parents. He also talks about our children, that they are not our own. They are their own entities, and they are doing what they do. And the thing I can do is give them love. The thing I can do is love myself through the process, keep ourselves safe, and keep ourselves at a high vibration. And the most important thing for me is making sure that I am meditating and doing spiritual mind treatment, which is treating my own mind, remembering that God is everywhere. I'm one with that infinite intelligence. I know all is well in this moment. Go to gratitude and release into the universal action of the law, because the law is always working. Just like the law of gravity, nothing's going to float unless it's a balloon with helium. If you drop it, if I drop it, it's not going to be different for either one of us. It's the same thing with the law of cause and effect. Whatever I put out is what's coming back. So making sure that we're taking time to really center and love ourselves, not getting caught up into those triggers. And again, just like science of mind, easier said than done. And that's why we do our spiritual practices. So that when situations happen, I can just go to that knowing space, which is really one of the most important things, that knowing space. In the book, How to Use the Science of Mind, there's a beautiful quote in here. When Jesus said we should believe even before we receive, he was explaining the operation of mental law of cause and effect. If nothing is believed in it, then nothing is acted upon it. But since there is such a law, and since we are always believing something, the law will always be operating upon what we believe in the way that we believe it. It is not that we are introduced to a new law, but that we bring the law we are always using under conscious control, whether it be for ourselves or for someone else. So going to that knowing space, and the law is always in action. It just is, just like gravity, it's always in action. And sometimes it's easy to forget that. And if we've never been introduced to the law of cause and effect, mental equivalence, then it's like, oh, this just happens, this just happens, this just happens. Yet we know, with the brilliance that is here in this room and beyond, that our thoughts are things and are creating emotion. Rather than, I feel like years before I knew about science of mind, I was like a ship out on the ocean where the waves just throw you here and just throw you there, and you're just at the mercy of life, and you don't really, I don't know why this is happening, why is that happening, until you learn the principles. That if I want to create a world that works for everyone, I really need to love and accept myself, set an intention that life is good, be that vibration of love, put out good thoughts so that they come back to me, knowing that life is in a divine flow and that I'm in a divine flow, and letting go of those triggers. So, self-awareness, how am I coming across for myself? What am I putting out every day? Being aware of that. And again, it's that simple but not easy. And I used to hear this quote all the time, the pain pushes until the vision pulls, which is interesting to me because as humans, we would rather stay away from the pain than move to the vision. Maybe I know that the vision is over there, but until it gets painful enough here, I'm not going to move that direction. So if it's painful enough here, and sometimes I see people sit in that pain until it gets a little more painful before they actually move towards the vision. I do know, and I truly believe, that the universe is always conspiring for our highest and best. And if we're not going to move away from the pain, the universe is going to help us. And I know that there's an underlying thought inside each of us that is creating something that it's like, I'd really like to experience that. And then something happens and you get to experience it. And we have to be very careful on the thoughts that we're having. My youngest son, when he graduated from high school, he started college and he wasn't really digging it. So he decided he was going to work for AmeriCorps and be thinking he's going to become a teacher. Why don't I go experience it a little bit? So he went to St. Louis, Missouri to work as a teacher's aide there. That was an interesting time because I felt like I went there and dropped him off and bye. And he had some great experiences. And he said, things that happened before, you can connect the dots backwards, but moving forward, it's like, let me make sure that I'm being mindful of my thoughts. Because he had been with somebody who said that they had been robbed at gunpoint. And all he could think is, I wonder how I'd handle that. This is not a good thought to have. So a couple weeks later, he actually was walking home talking to his sister on his cell phone, and somebody popped out of the alley with a gun and said, give me all your money. Just like, I got to get off the phone, puts it away, and he is one of the most loving, compassionate people. And he said, I don't know what's going on in somebody else's life. I don't know, maybe he didn't have food for the babies. Maybe he didn't have something. He's like, you know what? All I have is like $7 in my pocket. But I do have my ATM card, and there's an ATM at Walgreens over here. The guy said, give me your card. Come with me. So they went together. They went to Walgreens. Andrew gave him his passcode. He took out the $68 that was left in his account, or the $60, because I think it rounds there. And then the guy left. So he got himself to a safe space. He also had a camera on the ATM that actually got a picture of the guy, and then he was able to report it. So he said, thinking backwards, I really would be careful of having that thought. I wonder how I would handle something like that. Don't think that. It's like, oh, I handle things brilliantly, and I'm always in divine alignment, and I'm always in the right and perfect safe place, always. I'm knowing that for you and for me and for all of us, that we're always in the right and perfect safe place. And it's funny because he didn't tell me until a year after, because he knew that I probably would have flown out there. But he only told me, he said, because he was going to have to fly back out there after we got back to California. He was going to have to fly out for the thing. He's like, I've got something really important to tell you. And so I'm thinking, what? Somebody got pregnant. You're gay. What's happening here? Because it's all good, whatever it is. But I was totally blindsided, because that would have been great. I was totally blindsided by him telling me he was robbed at gunpoint. I'm like, what? The things we share with our parents or don't share. Gotta love our children. So yeah, he came back to California. He went to Berkeley, and he just passed the CFP the other day. So he is a financial, I can't even remember, certified financial, thank you, programmer. Yeah, so anyway, I am knowing that life is good for all of us, and that in that self-awareness that we're aware of ourselves, that we just love whatever is and whatever isn't within us, and that we're taking time to really tune in and love ourselves to the next level and the next level. All that is, all that isn't. And not beat ourselves up for things that happen. We just stay in that knowingness that all is well, all is beautiful. I am surrounded by love. Life is eternal. When I leave this planes of existence, I go to another. Life is eternal. Life is good. And I get to come out here and experience wonderful things. Yeah. And speaking of wonderful things, I'm just thinking of Alex, our maintenance person here, who just got back from a cruise. So if you see him, ask him, because he's so excited to tell you all about his adventure that he had. So I'm knowing and claiming for all of us beautiful adventures. Yeah. So I'm just going to put that out there. All of us are having beautiful, amazing adventures that we take this wonderful teaching, and we move it to the next level and the next level within our lives and within the universe, as we're creating a world that works for everyone. And that starts with the I am that we are. And so it is. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Knowing that we don't get triggered by anything. We are going to do our beautiful offering time, because I, again, am so grateful for this philosophy, for this teaching, because it has changed my life. I really would not have the tools that I have to be able to get around in the world and create a life that works had I not had this teaching and philosophy. And the beautiful teachers, all of you, that come into my life. So let's go to that gratitude space as we do our giving affirmation. Knowing that we are so incredibly blessed, that as we give, we definitely receive. So let's say it together. Divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper all those who give and all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. Whew, and so it is. I did want to say a couple things, too, about volunteers, and thank you, Ruth, for volunteering so much, and all of those of you that do volunteer, because we have a lot of different things going on, and we have more things that are going to be going on between the yard sale happening in September and another New Earth Expo in October, other events that are going to be happening. I'm knowing that we always have wonderful and amazing volunteers, so I am so grateful for all of that. And with that, are there any comments, questions, words of wisdom? I know the wonderful, wonderful, amazing Grant is going to come around with a microphone. If anybody has a comment, question, words of wisdom, or something they want treatment for. All right.
Hello, my name is Bettina. And I'm in this teaching for quite a while, and I have to say, it works.
Yes.
So what I just experienced, I went to Africa, and I put this on my desk as a vision. Want to go to Namibia, and so took a couple of years because of COVID, was some time, and the way it unfolded was just absolutely amazing. So I'm so grateful to have found this teaching more than 20 years ago, and I'm going for it. So thank you so much.
I am going for it. I love to hear that. All right, we have one down here, Diane. Going for it. I love that. Yeah, great.
A dear friend of mine made her transition Monday morning, and I've been teary and crying, but you said something today that finally gave me the reality that her existence is not over. It's continuing and going on. And I hadn't thought about that, and you brought that back to mind, and that is very comforting to me.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah. That gives me great comfort, too. I tell my kids all the time that it's like, I'm not going anywhere. It's just... For those online,
I'm Sean.
yes.
I love this place.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
I want to know what happened to the monkeys. I know that's a dumb question. So what was the purpose of that study?
Well, the purpose of the study is to see how we influence each other. Mm-hmm. I'm going to know because it doesn't tell anything else in the story. If you Google search it, it's like, okay, what did happen to the monkeys? Here's what I'm going to know is that they gave them lots of other bananas and that they stopped blowing, shooting them down with the cold water. Yeah, it's an example of how we, different things that maybe we don't even know that we're reacting to, that this is just how we do it. And yet, if we get to that place of thinking outside of the box, how could we do life differently? And it's a conversation everywhere. How could we do things differently that would work well for everyone? Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you told the story about the monkeys because it made me understand that for 28 years I had secrets because I grew up in a violent alcoholic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how does that affect me now? I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm ashamed.
Right. Well, and what I have found, because I actually was in college, I was in a sociology class, and they started talking about adult children of alcoholics and how Monday is the busiest day at school. Kids are excited to talk about on the weekend, except for the child of an alcoholic, because they don't want to talk about what happened at their home. And I'm looking around because I'm feeling really uncomfortable. I'm about ready to cry. And I'm looking around. It's not affecting anyone else because they hadn't lived it, but I had. And so at that moment, it's like, oh, I need to have some treatment. And I need to heal that. And it's not that I have to dig deep into each one of the stories, but for me, writing and ripping and anything that comes up, letting it go, but setting an intention for going forward. Because yesterday's in the past.
That's right. It's over.
Yeah, it's over, and yet we might drag part of it with us. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to
Let
drag
it
any of
be
that with
over.
me. So let me make sure that I'm meditating, I'm loving myself, I'm allowing myself to heal, and I'm setting the intention for the next day and the next day and the next day. Doing those vision boards, meditating, visualize, verbalize, feelingly believe that life is good despite everything I've been through, and also knowing that everything I went through made me who I am today, so I can be compassionate to people that have gone through stuff.
That's the big gift is compassion.
Yes, yeah.
And the other thing that was hugely like manna from heaven, my best friend's mother, I lived at their house every weekend. They took me on family vacations. If I was there, they fed me. I don't know why they were so incredibly generous and loving, but they were.
Yes.
And what a wonderful thing it was for me.
Yes. And you manifested that in some way, some part of your spirit manifested that. And not to take blame for other things that are happening. It's like as children, we're coming in, and I do believe as a spiritual entity, we set some kind of intention for how we show up. It's things we can't answer now. However, it's like everything that happened was something that I intended to experience on some realm or something. This is my thought process. Doesn't have to be yours. But everything I went through gave me the tools to be able to do a lot of things that I do now, and a lot of things I do now are so incredible. And I'm knowing that every tool I get every day continues to lift me to the next level, as all of us. So, yay for our experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so what I am currently trying to find a balance within, and something that I think throughout my life I've been trying to figure out as an empathetic lady, is finding the balance of when triggered by someone that I'm very close to, say family, I feel as though I've had so much compassion and understanding for those people that I end up putting myself kind of continually in a line of fire. So I'm trying to figure out some sort of balance as to, seeing the best of them and where it is that I'm not almost continually hurting myself at this point, where I'm not seeing, any accountability or effort for change. It just, to me, I think I've had so much compassion that in the end, it's just kind of my own insanity of like expecting something different, or like kind of forgetting with so much understanding as to their disposition and knowing that it's not personal. And then being like hurt again and again.
Yes. So I'm going to know that that is healed right now, and that we are wrapping you in a bubble of protection and love. And when we're meeting with our families, making sure that we are prayed up in whatever form works for you, but also that we've taken time to meditate, to just really know that we are in that loving space of protection, and that I'm lifting everyone else up. And I love the vision of, because we're connected by like golden lights and some kind of energetic kind of thing with our families. So sometimes we just need to cut those lights, and I'm thinking of it as like a bunch of balloons, and we're just kind of cutting and letting them drift off into a beautiful, safe, loving, higher thought process. And so I'm just going to love them up and see them in their highest and best light. And I'm going to make sure that I am staying in a space of balance, because it's easy to want to step into that empathy, that compassion, and maybe even that rescue. And then I'm overextending until I'm off balance, and now I'm mad, and I can't be mad at anyone except myself because I did it. So it's can be challenging to allow them to go through what they need to go through. Because when we get into that rescue mode, or I want to be there for them, then sometimes we're enabling them to not figure it out themselves, or to bottom out if they need to, so that they can grow.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Yes.
What I received is kind of, if it comes from like checking in first from a genuine place of having space to share, not feeling obligated.
Yes, yes. We are not obligated to take care of family members or other people. I feel like I am obligated to take care of my children. However, they are still their own entities and doing their own thing. And so I can say yay or, whoa, let me send you some love. Yet I can't make someone be a certain way. I always love that when people say, oh, you make me so mad. It's like, I don't have that power. If your perception of what I said makes you mad, that is on you. That was not my intention. Or even if it was my intention, it's like, let that go. So coming with the intention of love, and my intention is love and compassion, but my cup runneth over if I'm so busy giving, that I'm not taking care of myself and I'm not making sure that I'm in that balance space, then it's going to throw me off kilter and I'm going to be angry, hurt, disappointed, whatever feeling I might feel. So it's like, okay, let me take care of myself so I can give them everything. And it may mean that I have to say no today, not able to do that. Love you so much and I'm not going to be able to do that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that
Yes.
really validates what I've been feeling as well. So that's
Yes.
helpful. And if I could also ask from everyone here today, I'm kind of in the next steps of my career and going through like the negotiation process of accepting a job offer. And so I'm hoping to receive a counter offer that feels very like reflective of my worth and where I feel valued and supported.
Yes. Write that number down, see it clearly, and all the other benefits that you want to make sure that it's right there and it is lifted up and they just say yes.
Thank you
It's like
so
we don't even
much.
have to negotiate. It is just done. We value you. We know who you are, and we know what you bring to the table. So yay you.
Thank you so much.
Yes. All right. Anyone else? He's coming. And I'm knowing so many good things are unfolding. I appreciate you all so much.
I just want to say thank you for sharing your gifts with us. All of the things that you said are things I needed to hear today, and it never fails to amaze me how when I come into this teaching, whatever is spoken in this space is something that particular day and time helps me to get through the next minute, the next hour, the next day. And thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. As you were saying that, I was thinking of when I do different processes where you get to marry yourself and you put the ring on, love, honor, and cherish who you are. Because we do that with other people, but we forget to do that with ourselves. I'm going to love, honor, and cherish who I am, just as I am not. And handle with love and care and kindness and compassion for ourselves. So within, so without. Hard to change the world if we have not changed ourselves. Yeah. Be the peace you want to see in the world, as Gandhi would say. All right. You have something on? He's looking at his phone, so I'm like, what?
Just double checking, but nothing on YouTube today. We do have a comment from Sydney Glass over on the on the Gulf Coast.
Hey, Sydney.
Amazing message today, Reverend Valerie. Thank you for sharing the stories of your father and son. We let go of our triggers and let God.
Oh, cool. All right, I'm going to put a beautiful blessing on all of us as I just close this with a treatment, knowing that there is one infinite intelligence, that we really, really recognize that infinite intelligence as we think about the stars and the planets and the earth. It's moving right now. So all the things, this wonderful energy that created the galaxies, the oceans with that power, we are powerful. That power flows in as and through us. That we are absolutely unstoppable in this thing called life. That we just embrace it, we love it as we love ourselves. As I speak my word and claim for each and every person that there is a healing and a revealing going on of the perfection of the divinity of the I am right here, right now. That we know that life is eternal. We can still have those conversations with those that have gone on to the other planes of existence. Knowing that money is flowing, prosperity and our worthiness is there. Knowing that the monkeys have so many bananas, that life is good for all of us. As we just go to that gratitude space, I am so grateful for everyone here, grateful for everyone in this universe. As we send love to Africa, we send love to all of the different countries. Knowing that everyone is lifted up by our vibration of lifting up. And in great gratitude for each person, I just release my word, knowing this is the best day ever. And so it is. So it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.